Tensions are rising over the conflict in eastern Ukraine after a massive Russian military build-up near its border with the region. More than 100,000 Russian troops have been strategically placed close to the border they share with Ukraine, and many experts are seriously worried. So, are we on the brink of a new war?
We're now at a stage where Russia could at any point launch an attack on Ukraine. I would say that's more stark than we have been.
To understand what's going on, we're going to explain the Russia-Ukraine conflict and how it's led to what's happening today. First, let's look at how Russia and Ukraine are linked. Their history goes back as far as the 9th century, when a group of people called the Rus moved their capital to Kiev. During the 10th and 11th centuries, it became the largest and most powerful state in Europe. It laid the foundation for the national identity of Ukrainians and Russians. So what would become Russian culture began in Kiev before moving east to Moscow. Ukraine would become part of the Russian Empire for centuries and would also be part of the USSR. Putin is obsessed by Russia and Ukraine's long pre-1991 history as one country. In July 2021, Putin released an epic 7,000-word essay about their shared history, in which he said, quote, "I am confident that true sovereignty of Ukraine is possible only in partnership with Russia, for we are one people." The thing is, most Ukrainians don't agree with that version of history. Also fueling Putin's obsession with Ukraine is the events of 1991. Putin, as a young KGB intelligence officer, watched the Berlin Wall crumble, his beloved Soviet Union collapse. Since then, he's been on a mission to return Russia to what he believes is its rightful place on the world stage. The fall of communism at the end of the Cold War saw the former Soviet states turn westward, ditching their Russian rulers and turning to Europe's west and the US to create new economic, political and cultural futures. In 1991, Ukraine gained its independence from the Soviet Union. For 31 years, Ukraine has had its own sovereignty and been an independent country. But that independence hangs in the balance. Putin is driven by a sense of righting what he sees as history's wrongs. He wants to reverse what he views as the humiliating breakup of the Soviet Union more than 30 years ago. But also at the heart of this conflict is NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation. NATO was founded in 1949 after World War II to protect against Soviet aggression. The treaty states that if one nation is invaded or attacked by a third party, all nations in NATO will collectively mobilise in its defence. The alliance has since expanded to 30 countries, including a number of former USSR states. The Kremlin is furious at those former Soviet states joining the treaty, seeing NATO's presence on Russia's border as a threat. Now, Putin has demanded guarantees from NATO that Ukraine and Georgia, another former Soviet republic that Russia briefly invaded in 2008, never be allowed to join the alliance. But NATO allies say Putin cannot deny Ukraine or any country that right. Ukraine has long fought to join NATO and is still working on making that goal a reality. To say Putin hates NATO would be an understatement. April 2008 was the last time Putin attended a NATO meeting. The Russian president said then that allowing Ukraine to join NATO would be a direct threat to Russian security. He told the US and German leaders, quote, "For me, Ukraine is not a real country." Now, Russia claims that in the early 90s, at the end of the Cold War, the US pledged that they would not let NATO expand eastward. But that claim has been debunked, including by the former Russian President Gorbachev. The topic was never discussed. Now, those arguments are completely ignored by Vladimir Putin. So they're the historical ties between Russia and Ukraine. In the next video, we'll explain how and why the conflict started in 2013 and whether it might lead to an all-out war.